The Bobcat Club podcast keeps rolling on, and today we are joined by head coach for the Texas State baseball team, Stephen Trout. Coach Trout, you are from Hooks, Texas. I had to Google Maps Hooks, Texas, just looking through your bio. Tell us about Hooks, Texas. I understand you can see Arkansas from your backyard from there.
Pretty close. Anytime you're heading towards Texarkana, you're probably going to go through it, but don't blink because you're definitely going to miss it. But, small town, 2,500 people, one red dot town. And so it's my getaway. So anytime I need to get away, that is our spot. My parents still live there. My sister and her family are still there, and a ton of family are still in the area. And so, but a great place to grow up. It was a 2A, 3A school. It moved around through my high school career, so got to play all three sports. Pretty much if you didn't play, you didn't have enough to fill out a team. And so it was a great experience for myself and love going back there. But we do have a Heisman Trophy winner from Hooks, Texas, so not many people can say that. So Billy Sims back in the 80s, I believe.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And from there, we're just kind of going through your history leading up to Texas State days. You went on to play at Texarkana College, had a couple pretty good years there, and then the not too far away TCU Horned Frogs noticed how good you were, and you were part of some pretty good teams there as you guys won the Mountain West in the mid-2000s back-to-back years.
Yeah, so, career started off, I actually walked on to my junior college at Texarkana, and so I had to battle through as a walk-on and had 2 great years there, learned so much, grew up so much, and ended up going to the College World Series there in 2005. And so Coach Massengale was our pitching coach. I think he was 22 or 23 years old, so right out of playing here at Texas State. And so that's where we started our connection. And then, I went over to TCU and had 2 great years, won a lot of championships, played in 2 regionals, and, learned a lot under Coach Schlossnagel. And if you follow my coaching career, it followed all of my assistant coaches there at TCU.
Right after you played for a few baseball teams professionally, what was the professional minor league experience like?
I knew the odds of myself, getting picked up by a team or playing the big leagues was, it was going to be rare and hard to do. But I really wanted to do it because I knew going into coaching, I wanted to be able to relate to my guys of what pro baseball was like. And so, I talk about our bus trips all the time, from going from Kansas City up to Winnipeg, Canada. We'd play a 7 o'clock game and get done at 10, and the bus would leave at midnight, and we would drive all the way through the morning, all the way through 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on how customs were at the border. And sometimes you'd even sleep in a bed before you got out and played another game. And so, pro ball is tough. It's definitely a grind. And so until you make it up into the higher ranks, those bus trips are some to be remembered.
Yeah, I have some friends in the minor league circuit, and I can tell you that that's something that a lot of baseball players really want. It's something that all baseball players more or less need to go through. Obviously, there's some guys like Mike Trout, no relation, who pretty much breezed right on through the minor leagues. But there's a lot of guys who spend years on that grind, going through all those different kinds of leagues, experiencing different kinds of travels. Those are definitely grind times where people are make or break their careers. But once your playing career was done, you were actually starting off here as a volunteer coach under Coach Harrington. How'd you find San Marcos?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we had actually, so back to my junior college days, we played the regional down in Edinburgh. And so on the way down, Coach Masson talked to Coach Harrington. I kind of knew about San Marcos, knew about Texas State, obviously knew about Coach Harrington. And so that was my initial introduction to Texas State. And then once I got done playing, I kind of missed the boat because we went into September, I believe, in pro ball. And so I was just trying to find a job. And so actually tried to interview for other areas of life in the job search, and didn't work out too good. And so luckily at Christmas, Coach Harrington was looking for a volunteer assistant and gave me the shout. And I came down and interviewed. And I think that night he called me and offered me the job. And so I was so fired up and so honored to hop in and come down. And of course, in the first year, you're coaching a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, and you win the Southland Championship and played a regional. So I thought this coaching thing was pretty easy. And so obviously I figured out that it's not as easy as that. You're not always producing MLB All-Stars, but yeah, that started the ride, and so honored to do it.
So there's a big gap between that year when you were with Texas State and coming back to Texas State as an assistant. Could you go ahead and take us through the whirlwind of a ride, which includes, some Big 12 schools, some other big name schools that people have heard of, and all your just coaching experience between then and now?
For sure, yeah. It's been a long but fun journey. I left Texas State after 2 years and went to the University of Houston, where Todd Whitting was my hitting coach at TCU. He got the head job there. I worked under him for a year, and then actually got the head coaching job back at Texarkana College for a full season. And so that was really neat to go back home and actually lived with my parents again. And we did the wash right there in our house, and made sure we took care of it. They actually ran our concession stand for me, so it was a fun family atmosphere in the first head job. And so then went out to Morgantown, West Virginia with Coach Mazey, who was our pitching coach at TCU. And so he took me up there, and for 3.5 years, it was awesome. It was a great grind in the recruiting world. You had to go in a place where you never have had connections. You were walking into different areas that had, larger schools or programs that had rich tradition, and you're trying to recruit against them to go play in the Big 12. And so it was fun. It was, like I said, it was a complete grind on the recruiting. There's a lot of days I left my car at the airport for a full month. I didn't see it. So it was a lot of time on the road. And so, but yeah, really cherished my time there, and the relationships I built in Morgantown.
And then you come back and you coach with Ty Harrington again for another stint in the Sun Belt Conference this time. And when Coach Harrington decided to, move on, he doesn't like the phrase retire, I found out. He wanted to just say, step in a different direction. You came in, and now you're the head coach of Texas State. So obviously your first full season was taken away from you. But staying on the bright side of things, what are some highlights from the second stint with Texas State and, being here in San Marcos?
Yeah, I mean, what a complete, full circle that would end up being my first head coaching job at the Division I level. So I think it's pretty cool. But, I'll never forget when Coach called me when I was coaching at West Virginia, and we talked about the hitting job here. And for my family and for me and my wife, we always wanted to get back to Texas to start our family. And so, Morgantown's 22 hours away from anybody we knew. So trying to get back closer to home, get back into Texas and get back to a place like Texas State and to run the offense. And so we made that move, and a couple years later had our first child in Ellison. And but yeah, and then once Coach decided to move on and in his word, retire, I was completely blessed to get this head coaching job. What a great university, what a great athletic program to start off with your first head coaching job in the Division I. And so couldn't be more fired up. And yeah, it got shorted the first year, but it's a journey here. We're not planning to be here for 1 year. We're planning to be here for a while. And so, like I tell our guys all the time, it's not about building a great team. It's about building a great program. And so this is just one hurdle we're going to have to get over. And so we're going to get through it, fight through it, and come out the other end a better team and a better program.
We talked to Garrett Herman earlier in the week on this podcast, and he talked about how you guys had set them up for success, some at-home workouts, some programs. But how has coaching changed since everything's been shut down? You guys can't see them in person, and make sure that when fall ball gets rolling, hopefully it'll get rolling on schedule, you guys will be ready to roll.
Yeah, so pretty much all of our stuff is pretty much on their own. And so from the weightlifting, everything is voluntary that we've sent over to them. So we just try to give them a plan, and it's up to them to do it. They can't even check it with us and let us know what they're doing from rules perspective. And so the guys are having to take ownership in what they're doing to prepare. And really right now, like I told them, the biggest key for them is their academics, trying to figure out this whole online schooling. As coaches, we've become pretty much academic advisors, trying to help them out, trying to make sure they're on top of their classes, on top of their assignments, quizzes, tests, whatever it might be. And so really just giving them that support from that side of helping them out. I know our academic staff and our guys, Matt Phelps, is doing a great job staying on them. But really right now, from my staff perspective, that's our number one job is just to stay with them and give them those resources to be successful in these new times of online schooling. And so the baseball's kind of on the shelf right now, and trying to make sure these guys are going to stay eligible and still competing in the classroom. And so we always set standards in the classroom and have goals as a team. And so we're still trying to reach those, even though we're not actually physically in class right now.
Moving a bit towards your personal life, you have a family, a young daughter, and you're at home a lot more. She's not probably understanding what's going on, but how's the family? And I imagine they're appreciative to see you more often than they were expecting, considering the circumstances.
For sure. No, I think, out of everything in life, you always got to find positives. And so the one positive I think that's come from this is getting to spend a lot of time with my wife and Ellison during this time. And so we're both obviously working from home. So we're trading off phone calls and times to answer emails and to get things going. But in the meantime, we're trying to keep her busy and try to put her through some form of school. And I've learned I'm definitely a way better coach than I am a 2-3-year-old teacher. And so that's been challenging to keep her going on that side. So luckily we've had some good weather, so we've been able to get outside and play in the backyard some and just trying to keep her active and moving. And so, yeah, although the season's over and it's a completely different time for us, if you're looking for some positive, this is probably the only time for the rest of my career I'll get to spend March, April, and May with my family. And so while we're still working really hard on the academics and for the future team, we are getting to spend some really quality family time together, which is the best.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time. Can't wait till things get back to normal and we can enjoy days at Bobcat Ballpark. But until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for taking the time out today to join us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Eat 'em up.